Welcome to the Gospel Minded Mama podcast. I'm Anna Marti, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a space for moms doing hard things with little sleep, heavy hearts, a deep love for our children, and wanting to learn how to lean on Jesus when motherhood feels overwhelming. Here, we don't pretend it's easy. We bring the mess, the exhaustion, the doubts, and we bring them straight to God. Because the gospel meets us right where we are, and God is faithful to carry us when we struggle to keep going. Join me as we do hard things, lean on God, and seek to glorify Him in motherhood. I'm so excited to bring you on this journey of seeking God and finding hope in Him when motherhood is hard. And I'd like to share with you a story about when motherhood has been hard for me recently. I just had my 5th child. Now I have 4 boys and 1 girl, and all of my other pregnancies and journeys with the kids were more similar, and this one was a little bit different. And I've never experienced what I'm about to share with you until this, my 5th kid. I was getting ready to nurse my son, and I knew that it was about time for me to nurse him. For those of you that have done breastfeeding, when your milk starts to come in and you're just ready, you know that it's time to feed him. Well, this time I was getting ready to feed him, and I started having these weird thoughts, like thinking, oh my word, something terrible is about to happen. I'm going to die, or something's going to happen to my husband, or I'm not really sure what I should do. Maybe I need to text him and have him come home from work. This was the first day that he went back to work after my son was born, and it had been a little over 2 weeks postpartum. And this was just such a weird feeling. Never had it before. It was like I was having a panic attack. And then I thought, I'm going to try and feed him and just see what happens. So I started feeding my son. And then it was the weirdest thing that once never happened to me before. And I was like, well, that's weird. Wonder what's going on. I just didn't really know what to do. And it started to become where it would happen every time I would have to feed him. It was like I knew that my milk was coming in because I would start to have these awful thoughts that something bad was happening, that I was either going to die or something would happen to my son or one of my family members. And it was just super weird. So I started to notice that it happened every time my milk was coming in. And so I was trying to figure out what's going on. Then I found out that there's this condition called D-MER. I think I'm going to need to check on that. I'll talk about that more in another episode that I'll dedicate just to that. But I wanted to share this story that I'm sitting on the couch trying to feed my son, having all these thoughts of impending doom, not really sure what's going on, trying to cry out to God, saying, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I need help, and I feel numb, and I'm stuck. God, please help me. I don't know if I was able to even think all of those words. I just was trying to cry out to God for help because it was just such a hard time. I have been working on the past couple years of just giving my worries and my anxiety over to God. This time, I felt like it was something too big and too hard, and I just didn't know how to do it. A few days later, very thankful that my husband was like, you know what, things just seem to be a little bit off with you. I think maybe you should talk to your doctor. There might be something going on. I was like, oh, that's weird that he's noticing that. But yeah, I probably should talk to my doctor. And so I ended up talking to my doctor. That's when I kind of found out about that condition. I think it's called it's called D-MER. That's right, D-MER. So it's Dysphoric milk ejection reflex. And what happens when this is going on is that when your milk lets down, it's a physiological thing. It's not a mental thing. So when your milk is letting down in your body, your dopamine is going super low. And there's a lot of women that don't even feel this or know what's going on. It doesn't affect them, but there are a certain percentage where when the dopamine goes down, when your milk is coming in, it can make you have these thoughts of impending doom and all of this, but then once you feed your baby or pump, then it gets better and it goes away. In motherhood, we can have moments where it just feels like I can't do this, and we focus on what we can't do, what I have been having to remind myself is that I can't do this, but God can. So when I'm in a moment where it's like, man, this is too much, it's overwhelming, I can't do this, I'm starting to try and remind myself, but God can. He can do this, and I can do this with God. Trying to remember that I can ask him for help. Sometimes as moms, it feels weird for us to ask for help because we are the person that all of our kids and sometimes our husbands come to for help. So when we ask for help, it can feel like a failure or that we're not good enough. But in all reality, all of us are sinners and we all need God's help. Another feeling that we can have is I'm exhausted. I can't get through another day. It can be very exhausting being a mom, feeling like everyone is always needing me. I don't have anything else to give. But God is the one who sustains us and he can give us the strength that we need. An example of this for me is that I am not really a morning person. It takes me a couple hours in the morning before I really want to have any deep conversations or any conversation that requires a lot of thought. So I have found that if I am able to be up and awake for at least an hour before any of my kids come downstairs, that I have a better day. Now, being newly postpartum, I guess he's not quite a newborn anymore, but having to be breastfeeding and up in the night and different things, it can be easy for me to say, no, I just need to have more sleep. I need to prioritize that and not get up early so that I can be the best mom that I can. Something that I started doing is asking God, can you please help me get up in the morning? Can you help to wake me up? Because it's been a struggle. There were times where I would just not be able to get out of bed because I was so tired. And I think some of that was postpartum depression because I've dealt with that. Also, I just felt exhausted. So I've been praying and asking him, God, can you please help me to get up in the morning? Can you get me out of bed? Like, I will set alarms and I still can't get out of bed. But when I ask him to help me get out of bed, to get up early, and to not get as overstimulated, trust me, I still get overstimulated, but it's usually not as bad if I have that time in the morning. He has been faithful. And one of the things that's kind of cool is that my son will need to get up to eat between 4 and 5. And I found that if I get up to feed him and go back to bed, then I'm usually stuck in bed until like 9 in the morning. And it's really hard for me to get out of bed. So I've just been using that to then stay up and go about my day. And I'm very thankful that God has been helping me to do that. Now, sometimes I will need to take like a 20-minute nap in the afternoon or just rest a little bit. But I've been very thankful that God has been faithful and he has been helping me to get up in the mornings. I often can learn a lot from other people's stories. And so that's why I want to share some of my stories in motherhood with you. But I also want to make sure to share with you some verses from the Bible that have been encouraging to me and pray that they will encourage you as well. So I would like to read from Psalm 139. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I'm going to read a big chunk of it. Psalm 139, 1 through 16. O Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you knew it altogether. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. For you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret. Intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. And this chapter just kind of blows my mind sometimes. If you think about it, God knows us way better than we know ourselves. And sometimes it can be hard because I'm very much a visual and tactile learner. I think not being able to see God can be very hard for us. But if we look at our life and we see the ways that God has come through for us, ways that he has provided for us, ways that he has helped us out of our pits of despair when we feel lost in motherhood and just lost in our Christian walk, and he is there ready to help us. Sometimes we just need to ask him to help. And then another verse that I wanted to share with you is Romans 5:8, and it says, "But God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Just the fact that God had a plan, that even though sin entered the world and that we were then separated from God, that he chose to have that plan to have Jesus, his son, die on the cross for our sins. That is just so encouraging to me. Another thing that I want to talk about is that when we feel like we can't do this and it feels impossible, it's easy to feel like it's all on us and that we have to muster up the strength to be able to do the hard things in motherhood, like having difficult conversations with our kids, whether that's about boundaries with screens or if it has to do with when one of our kids doesn't have the friendship that they wanted to have, or that friendship changes, and trying to guide and lead them through that. It's hard, but nothing is impossible without God. When I say these reminders, I'm saying them to encourage you, but I'm also saying them to myself because I can often get stuck in the I'm not good enough and I'm not doing the best job as a mother. But I need to continually remind myself that God has chosen me to be the mother of my kids. He has given me the purpose of being a mom, trying to work at discipling my kids, sharing the gospel with them, raising them up in him, doing that as a team with my husband. And these are some of the most important things that I can do. Ultimately, I am to have a relationship with him and have a relationship with others and to disciple the kids that he has placed in my care, and trying to be content and fulfilled that is what God has called me to do. Some days can be difficult and it can be easy to compare ourselves to other people and see other moms, and maybe we are a mom that stays at home and we see a working mom and we think, man, they've got it easy. They get to get out of the house. They get to go work and go to a different place instead of being stuck in the house all day. Or there could be a working mom who she's a mom staying at home and is like, man, I wish I could be at home with my kids, but financially I'm not able to do that. I have to go to my job so that we have money for food on the table. We never really know what somebody else's story is. It is best for us to stay focused on God's story in our life and then trying to grow in our walk with the Lord and focus on him, that he is the one that can help us when motherhood feels impossible. So I'd like to leave you with one verse. It's called Psalm 46:1. It says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." And I want to remind you that you don't need more strength. You need to lean more on God. He is our strength. And remember that he is strong when you feel weak. Thank you so much for joining me today. I pray that you were encouraged. I'd like to take a moment to just pray for you and for this upcoming week. Dear Lord, I just thank you for each and every mom who is listening right now. You know what their needs are. You know their struggles. You know what they're going through right now. I pray that you would encourage the moms out there, that you are their strength and that you will be the one that gets them through each day, not watching another show, not having certain foods, not getting that coffee. You are the one that gives us the strength that we need for each day. Pray that you would remind us of that and that you would be glorified throughout our week. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, well, if you enjoyed this podcast, if it was encouraging to you, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a review. I don't really like having to say that, but this is the way that the podcast can get out to more moms and that more moms can be encouraged. And so I would really appreciate that you would do a review and that you would put your heartfelt words into that review. And if it was encouraging to you and you have a friend that needs encouragement, share it with another mom. I'm just so thankful that you took time to come and listen to this. And I pray that God would use my words to encourage you. Before you go, I want you to hear this. You are not failing, you are not forgotten, and you are not meant to do this alone. Whatever hard thing you're walking through today, God sees you and His grace is sufficient for you. May you feel the nearness of Jesus as you step back into your day, and may His strength meet you exactly when yours runs out. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leaning on Him, and keep choosing joy.